Come on up the hill to the cradle of forestry. We got a real nice place here amongst the trees. History, nature, science, what more do you need? Forest-inspired nature discovery.
Hi, Clay.
Hey, Stephanie.
I came to help start the campfire, but it looks like you're already starting.
Yeah, I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way.
What does that even mean?
Well, I'm using my striker and my quartz rock to get a spark on my char cloth so I can blow my tinder bundle into flames.
Wow, I would love to learn how to do that.
Well, let me show you.
I would love that. Well, what does it mean to make a fire in the old-fashioned way?
Yeah, to me it means being prepared. For most of the time that humans have been making fire, we didn't have a store to go and buy a lighter and to buy other things that we use to start a fire today. It was about being prepared and having all the things you need before you start making your fire. For example, this first ingredient, you might recognize this. It's that bark from the poplar tree that we, yeah, absolutely. You can use this stuff to make cordage, but you can also put this stuff together and make a little nest, and this becomes the kind of the seed for starting a fire. And it's really easy. You just take that bark that we had, and you notice it is really dry now.
Oh yeah,
really
it is.
dry. And it's been sitting around in a dry place for a couple of weeks, and the longer that it stays dry and sits around, the dustier it gets, and it breaks off into little pieces, and that's really going to help with the fire get started. So what you do is you kind of stretch it out like that, and you wrap it around your hand, and then you push the middle in. You basically just kind of tangle it all up in there, and now you've got a little nest. And this stuff is bone dry. And when I go camping, I like to put it in some sort of container to make sure that it is dry, so that even if it's raining outside, I know that I have the ingredients for a dry fire in my backpack. But you have to be prepared and do this ahead of time. It's not something you can do in the moment.
That's smart.
All right, the next ingredient that we're gonna need is called char cloth. And basically it is cloth that has been charred. The secret is that it has to be cotton cloth. These are shop rags or a t-shirt, but it's gotta be all cotton. It can't have different plastics mixed in. That's not gonna work very well. Once it gets burned, it turns black like this. And this is a really good example of having to be prepared, because you can't make char cloth until you have a fire. So you have to have your new char cloth material on hand so that once you start your fire, you're gonna be able to make some new char cloth. And the last thing you're gonna need is some sort of metal container that you're gonna be able to close or seal. So like my favorite is just to use my camp cup. You can also use an Altoid can, but what we're gonna see is we're gonna light the char cloth and we're gonna cut off the oxygen to it, and the cloth is gonna get covered in black soot and carbon. And that's gonna help hold the spark that we're gonna get from the striker. All right, the last step for the tools that we need to make our old-fashioned fire are a striker and a quartz rock. You've probably heard of flint or steel. Flint is a mineral and a rock that's found. Quartz is a lot more common and does the same job. It's white. You find it in stream beds, in creeks, on the trail side, and it really helps if it has a nice kind of square edge, and I'll show you why. You're gonna take the striker and you're gonna swipe along the edge, just right along the edge, so that little glowing embers fall off. And what's happening is that the rock is actually harder than the striker, and it's stripping off little tiny pieces of hot metal. And that hot metal, our goal is to get the hot metal to land onto our black char cloth. And we know that it lands because that orange little piece of metal glows, and it gets held on this char cloth, and the char cloth can actually hold that heat for a good while I blow my tinder bundle into flames. And this is one of those things that takes a lot of practice, finding just that right spot, and you're not doing it hard, you're just scraping it right along the edge. So that's a fun thing to practice when you're around the camp. There's also kind of a modern version of this, and you can find these at all the fine outdoor gift shops. And it's the same kind of thing. I've got a piece of metal, and I've got a softer kind of metal, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swipe it, and you get lots of sparks. That's the modern version of it, and that's pretty cool. That's a lot of fun. It does the same thing. So you can go to the fine outdoor gift shops and get you one of these, or you can go get a striker and a quartz rock. It does the same thing. So we're gonna put all these pieces together and see what happens. All right, so we have all of our pieces. We have our very dry tinder bundle ready to go. We have our char cloth material that we made last time we had a fire. And we have our char cloth material on the ready for when we get our fire going, we're gonna make more char cloth. I also have my sticks that I'm gonna use to make my fire ready to go, because once I get this fire going, I don't wanna be running around leaving my fire unattended to go find wood elsewhere. So I have everything I need to be ready to go, prepared. All right, so I'm gonna use this fun new striker that I got from the gift shop because it's a lot of fun to use. So let's see how it goes. One way you can do it is you sit the char cloth right in the middle of the tinder bundle, and I'm just gonna aim the sparks at the char cloth, and we're gonna see how it goes. All right, so I'm gonna give it a couple of big old pushes here, and all we gotta do is get one of those sparks to catch and land on my char cloth. And we'll see how good a char cloth I made last time I made a fire. There it goes, just a little orange glow. So I'm gonna blow it on a little bit. Gonna get it going. And these are one of those skills that are so fun to pass on to family members and to friends. And we have to blow really gently. Because if I blow too hard, the char cloth can fall apart. It's all very delicate. If while you're blowing on it, the smoke is coming in your face, you can just kind of find where the wind's coming from and put it at your back, and it'll blow the smoke away from you. And as that char cloth burns, we're going to push it further down into the tinder bundle. And once it catches on fire, you sit it on its side so the fire is coming up, and I can start dropping little sticks. Now, obviously, I don't want to start with big fat sticks. Feeding a fire is kind of like feeding a baby. You have to start off with the little small sticks, and it's really cool. If you look at the way a branch is made, it actually shows us where to start. We can start at the end of the branch with the little sticks, because that's the stuff that's going to catch on fire easily. And then once those things kind of start catching, and this is having a relationship with your fire and paying attention to it is really important. And knowing if I start putting wood that is too big on it and it starts going out, it's telling me, give me smaller stuff. I can give it another blow. And as we'll explain in another video about fire safety, we'll be talking about the ingredients of a good fire. And one of the main ingredients of a good fire is oxygen. So if you notice your fire is going out, that also might mean that it needs a little bit more air. So giving it a little bit of a blow can really help. And you can see the tinder bundle is actually what's burning right now. The tinder bundle is kind of the source of our fire. And then we're just adding the sticks to transition the fire from the tinder bundle to the sticks. And during this awesome camping season weather, what is more fun than having a good campfire that you built because you were prepared? So we're gonna get this fire going a little bit, and we'll show you how to make some char cloth. All right, we have our campfire going. It's big enough so that I can make some more char cloth. This is one of those examples of being prepared for my next fire. So I've got my cotton cloth, could be a t-shirt. These are the shop rags. And what I'm gonna do is I got a stick, and I have, in this case, I've got my camping cup. I'm going to light this on fire. And obviously, this is something that young people are gonna wanna do with an adult supervision, because typically we wanna keep the fire inside of the fire. In this case, we're gonna put the fire in a cup. Now this cup is gonna get hot. So having a pair of gloves or the other piece of this char cloth is handy. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to push down. And if I see smoke coming out of the edge of that cup, that means that I need to bury it a little bit more, but we want no oxygen to get in there. So I can just kind of seal it up around the side. The top of that cup is going to be hot. Don't touch it. All right? So now that I don't see any smoke coming up from the edge of that, we're gonna let that sit for about 10 minutes and we'll come back and see what we got. All right, let's check in on our char cloth. That cup could still be hot, so if you have a glove, a leather glove, or you can use another piece of char cloth, we're gonna check out what we got here. Oh, that's lovely. We got this nice black cloth, and what's happened is all that smoke and all that soot has settled on the cloth, so now when a spark lands on that cloth, it's gonna hold it. So you're gonna wanna put that in like a plastic bag or any other sort of container that's gonna keep it dry. You don't really wanna touch it a lot because the oils from your finger can cover the surface of that, and that's gonna keep the spark from landing on it pretty well. So now that I have my char cloth, I've got my tinder bundle, I've got my striker, I got my quartz rock, and I am ready for my next fire next time I go camping.
Wow, Clay, this campfire looks great.
Thanks.
Well, whether you're going in the backcountry or camping at one of Find Outdoors' many campsites, coming prepared makes it safer and you're able to have more fun.
Absolutely. And if you want to learn more about the different campsites that we manage, go to gofindoutdoors.org to learn more.
I'm gonna go get the s'more supplies.
Yes.